The sea is one place where we can find peace, but the sea can also be a deadly place if we are not careful. A girl became a victim of trauma when she was at sea with her parents. Their intention was to relax and take a vacation using their cruise ship. The girl was named Cassidy. Still 9 years old and was with her parents on vacation during the summer vacation, Cassidy learned to swim with her father. But their activities seemed to be disturbed. Something pushed and nudged her under her feet, and it turned out to be a shark. Cassidy and her father tried to get back to the ship. Cassidy managed to get to the ship, but unfortunately, Cassidy's father did not make it, and eventually became a victim of the shark. Since that incident, Cassidy has been very traumatized by the sea. Even almost did not want to approach it. A few years later, Cassidy is now an adult, and has married the man she loves named Greg. Until now, she is still traumatized and even has dreams about the incident when she was little with her father. Luckily now Cassidy has a partner who loves her. Greg works at the National Museum collecting and searching for relics buried in the ground and on the seabed. He got information from one of his friends that in a certain water area, there were indications of historical relics that he might be able to find at the bottom. So Greg and Cassidy went there. It turned out that the waters were in the Thai Sea area. When they arrived there, Greg was greeted by his friend named Benz. He had prepared everything, including a local guide who knew the waters. Not only that, Benz also invited his friend to join and search for historical relics on the seabed. The journey began, but this also brought back Cassidy's bad memories of the sea. Even after her father's death, Cassidy continued to practice swimming and was taught by her grandfather. Her grandfather did not want Cassidy to become a coward. The grandfather continued to train Cassidy so that he could eliminate the deep trauma. The grandfather was a marine biologist. He knew a lot about living things in the sea, one of which was sharks. While on the other hand, it turned out that Cassidy and her friends were not alone in the waters. A man named Jordan was sailing with some of his friends. It seems he is not a good person. One of his members saw a local resident who was sailing using a small boat. They also had some tracking devices and were armed. Jordan and his members finished them off and took some weapons as well as the tracking devices. What were they actually looking for there? Cassidy and Greg were getting closer to their destination. In between that, she was contacted by her grandfather just wanting to know how she was and his condition. Is she okay? Because this will be a new adventure for Cassidy. Cassidy's mother gave words of reassurance to his grandfather. They were sure that Cassidy would be fine, especially now that Cassidy had Greg. They were sure that Greg could take care of Cassidy. After that, Cassidy was surprised to see a human cage for shark repellent. What was the cage there for? Cassidy did not know that their adventure would face sharks, but Benz tried to calm her down and explained that this cage was indeed his. But they will not use this cage because Benz is sure that there are no sharks passing by in these waters. After hearing Benz's words, Cassidy began to calm down a bit. Cassidy felt guilty and apologized to Greg because her words made the atmosphere awkward. She just didn't want to deal with sharks anymore. Her trauma was still deep from the incident, but Greg was there. And moreover, Cassidy remembered that she should not be weak. Her grandfather had taught and advised her that Cassidy was strong and not weak. A few moments later, they finally arrived at the diving location. Cassidy, Greg, and two of Benz's friends dived into the sea to look for something valuable. The information circulating that at the bottom of the sea there was a former warship that used to carry a lot of gold pieces. Until now, no one has been able to find it. Luckily, Cassidy and her friends managed to find what they were looking for. A gold piece was found by one of her friends. But unfortunately, the joy suddenly turned into a disaster. There was a shark passing behind them, and that was a sign of danger. The 7-meter-long fish surrounded them, and they had to rush to the surface. Unfortunately, one of them was bitten by the shark. Here was that person. He lost a lot of blood. His left hand was cut off and eaten by a shark. They had no medical equipment on the ship. Then they saw another ship there, and it turned out that the ship was Jordan's ship. Jordan approached them, then Benz said that they needed help. They needed medical equipment for their friend who had just been attacked by a shark. But it seems bringing Jordan up to the ship was a big mistake. Jordan didn't really help Piri. Instead, he just talked as if he knew that there were a lot of sharks roaming around in this area. Until finally Piri lost a lot of blood and died. Because of that, Benz asked Jordan to get off his ship immediately. But Jordan felt that there was something they were hiding here. Even Jordan dared to threaten Benz and the others to tell him what they were hiding from him. Jordan saw a human cage from a shark. He wanted to take it and then kill Benz and the others. But Cassidy begged Jordan not to kill them. Jordan finally used Cassidy to dive to get their illegal goods that were dropped on the seabed. Inevitably, Cassidy went down using the cage. hoping the sharks wouldn't attack her. But it seemed impossible. Cassidy saw two great white sharks trying to prey on her. Cassidy acted quickly to take the goods that Jordan wanted. She had a lot of problems down there. Benz then helped her pull Cassidy back to the surface. But there was one item that fell due to a shark attack. Some of Jordan's members went down to get the 3 items but became shark food. When there was a chance, Greg tried to beat Jordan, but he lost and was pushed into the water. Luckily, Greg was fine and managed to get on the boat of a former local resident who was killed by Jordan. Greg also found a radio and then contacted the water police who were around. Not long after, the water police came to check on Jordan and the boat they were on. Jordan pretended that everything was fine. Cassidy was threatened to keep quiet, but when the police asked for his ship's documents, Jordan could not show them and killed the police. One of the shots went astray and hit the local guide Benz. Benz was very upset and angry about this incident. He blamed Jordan. Jordan wanted to kill Benz and Cassidy and her friends, but Cassidy said that she could give Jordan gold coins. Cassidy did that so that they could survive. In the end, Cassidy and Benz's friend named Istara jumped into the water to find the gold coins again. But because Istara moved too much and made a splash of water, she became a shark meal. Now Cassidy has to face the other shark. Then he remembered that she had learned from her grandfather how to calm sharks when they met. Cassidy held the shark's nose and succeeded. Meanwhile, on the ship, Benz took the opportunity to kill his member Jordan, but unfortunately he was shot by Jordan. Greg, who managed to survive, secretly climbed onto Jordan's ship and fought with one of Jordan's men. After that, Greg approached Cassidy, who was cornered by Jordan. With good cooperation, Cassidy and Greg managed to paralyze Jordan until he became shark food. Benz apparently still survived. Now the 3 of them are left and returned to land safely.
Promise me something.
I'm alive.